What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Today is what is this day? Okay. Today is productive Tuesday. They say Tuesday is the most productive day of the week. So I hope you are having a wonderful, beautiful, productive Tuesday. Okay. And today we are on day 13 of the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. I'm going to give y'all just a couple minutes to join before I start talking about the book, and we'll get into it. Y'all remember yesterday I said like 2:15? I'd be on here at like 2:15. I think I was pretty close. I think I was pretty close. Yesterday it was 3 o'clock, but today we get back on track, okay? So anyway, all right, y'all. So we are on day 13 again of the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. If you have been joining us, then you know exactly what this book is. If not, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity is a book written by a woman named Miss Catherine Ponder. She went around in the night. I think the book was released in the 1960s. So I don't know when she did these classes, but basically the book is based on some classes she did where she traveled around the world, um, telling people literally or teaching classes to people on literally how to use your words like magic in order to change, transform, and transition your life, right? And so we have been diving into this book. We're on day 13, we're in chapter 4. And I'm going to just do a quick recap of yesterday because pretty much today we're going to finish out chapter 4 tomorrow. And today is going to be an extension of what we talked about yesterday. And yesterday was about making to-do lists. We talked about gratitude lists. We talked about shifting from to-do list, right, to accomplish list, to manifest list, or whatever we want to call that list, but understanding that it is not our responsibility to do everything, right? We have to create a list, or we can create a list, right, full of things that need to be accomplished, and we allow God in the universe to help us with accomplishing those tasks, right? And so yesterday we talked about writing out your goals and not limiting them, right? Because we don't want to limit God, because God can do anything. Allow our goals to expand over time, right? We talked about don't just think about it, don't just write about it, to actually start doing it, right? We talked about being honest with God about our desires, being honest with what we write down, being honest with our goals, being honest with our wildest dreams, right? Because if we're not honest about what it is that we truly desire, God cannot allow those things to manifest. He cannot expand them. He cannot expand us to accomplish them, right? We talked about that on yesterday. We talked about not selling ourselves short, right? To ask big and to ask boldly, because God said that we can have the desires of our hearts. We talked about believing that God wants to bless us beyond our wildest dreams. I released my video about that yesterday. So that post is on my page. And then, okay, we talked about stop making to do lists. So the very last thing we talked about yesterday was, I believe, gratitude list. I know Oprah, I watch a lot of things on YouTube about, Oprah and other successful people. And I remember Oprah saying that every day she writes down like 3 to 5 things that she is grateful for. I don't remember if she said like in the morning or at night, but we did talk about that yesterday to end our night. It would be a good idea to end your night with gratitude, right? Creating a list of all the things that you are grateful for, creating a list of everything that went good, or not everything, but some major key things that went good yesterday, or excuse me, on today, so that we can end our night going into our subconscious with those positive, joyful feelings, so that we can transition that then into our subconscious dream world, right? To help us to manifest the reality that we desire. So, anyway, today we're on day 13, and we are continuing our talk about lists, okay? And so, our section today, the first section we're talking about is many people use this method. Now, I wanted to give a recap of yesterday because, like I said, today is basically just an extension of what we talked about yesterday. Okay. It says many people use this method. In case this list making technique is beginning to sound slightly trivial to you, let me assure you that it is a success technique used by a number of successful people, more than most of us realize, because successful people rarely advertise their success secrets. So let's go back real quick to yesterday when it says great truths. Remember, we said this yesterday, great truths and powerful secrets. Hold on, y'all. I keep forgetting. It's my little, okay, my microphone is on. Yesterday it wasn't on. So I just wanted to make sure y'all can hear me. Okay. It says great truths and powerful secrets often appear simple, right? So simple, in fact, that the average person overlooks them in trying to find a more difficult way. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. Sometimes the simplest thing we can do is the most powerful thing. But we, as a people, right, have been taught that things have to be hard in order for them to work, right? We have to work really, really hard. We have this theory that hard is better, hard is good. But some of the simplest things that we can do can have the most powerful impact on our life, okay? So I just wanted to recall that from yesterday. It says two prominent engineers have confidentially shown me little books that they keep in an inside coat jacket, which they take out when things become hectic during their business day, and in which they quickly make notations of the way they wish things to work out. No one suspects what they are doing, right? Because they are prominent engineers, right? They probably have a high ranking position and they're just scribbling in a little notebook, right? Says no one suspects what they are doing. And so, in the midst of people all around them, they quickly gain control of the various problems that confront them. So, while all of these problems are going on, while they're having these business meetings and things, they're jotting down how they want the solutions to play out, right? The best possible solutions. They're giving it to their note taking, or they're using the note taking method to grab a hold of the solution as it's trying to get out of hand, right? It says recently a mother asked her son, who is a young business executive, about a special course of instruction that he was currently studying in his company. He explained that he had been instructed to use a new psychological technique in solving his executive problems. Listen, they were teaching this to businessmen, right? It says the course had taught him that the proper modern method for solving problems was to sit down quietly. Listen, y'all, sit down quietly, write out the problem, and write out what he considered the highest and best solution. Then tear it up and relax. It's like write out what the problem is, write out what you want the solution to be, the highest and best, and then tear it up, right? That's what these businessmen, it said they were taking a course, and this is what they were taught in the course. It says knowing, write it out, tear it up, relax, knowing that his solution or something better would work out, since he had been able to work out his possible solution in his mind and on the paper. It says this executive seemed quite surprised when his mother informed him she had been using that method for many months after learning it in a class that she was studying. Listen, they were teaching this to business executives. Meanwhile, his mother was learning it in a class that she was studying. The same theory about writing notes and solving your problems with this note taking method. It says a doctor's financial income was boosted considerably within a few weeks after he began to write out the financial sum that he wished his practice to bring in each week. Remember yesterday, y'all, we talked about writing out how much money we want, right? How much money we desire. We talked about monthly, weekly, yearly, right? It says previously he had tried thinking in terms of boosted monthly income, but the figures had seemed too large for him to accept mentally. When he brought it down to a weekly level, it seemed easier for his mind to accept the idea of the weekly increase. And so it quickly manifested. Y'all, listen, sometimes we really subconsciously, I'm going to say this, subconsciously have a fear of money. We have a fear of money management, right? Some of us have a fear of handling $10,000 a month. Some of us have a fear of handling $10,000 a week. Some of us have a fear of handling $1 million because subconsciously we are like, I can barely manage this, $5,000 a month income that I have. How in the world am I going to be able to manage $1 million budget, right? And so subconsciously, he was struggling with the theory of making X amount of dollars a month. And what he's saying is when he took that figure down to a weekly figure, it was more safe in his body because some of the things that we struggle with are issues in our nervous system, right? We're not going to go into all of that though. But that's what I teach my students. Some of the things are responses, right, from our nervous system. We are not used to managing these big dollar amounts. So when he broke it down weekly to a better dollar amount that his nervous system was able to process, he was able to quickly manifest that dollar amount. Okay. So sometimes if your goal that you're writing down, that $10,000 a month, seems a little bit too big or a little bit scary, right? Even though we might want it, subconsciously there's a fear within us that we may mishandle or mismanage that amount, right? So if you can take that amount down to a more ideal number, maybe weekly, even a number that's daily, right? Because if we can say, I want to make $300 a day, right? Whatever that number is multiplied, that's what, $9,000 a month. Y'all don't kill me on my math skills, but in 30 days, right? Whatever that number is, if we can say, I'm good managing this amount of money daily because it sounds better that way, then we can get to that bigger number because our nervous system and our subconscious understands that the 300 number is safe, whereas the $9,000, $10,000 number may be a bit of a stretch for us to process subconsciously, right? So sometimes you just got to dissect it a bit. Okay, where are we at? It says, I agree with the writer of the book of Proverbs when he instructed us. It says, let not kindness and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the tablet of thy heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. And that was from Proverbs 3, 3 and 4. It says, when you are trying to find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man, the writing out technique is indeed powerful. Okay. So I'm going to stop right here. That's the end of our section. And I'm going to hit on my first point. It says, writing your thoughts, desires, and goals is a helpful tool to release what is within, both good and bad, right? We talk about journaling. This would almost be the same as journaling, right? That we do today. They're simply calling it something different. But sometimes we need to release in order to get things out so it is not suppressed. I teach my students that, and I think I did a video on that at the end of last year, that you, whatever it is that you, I think I set it up as like a conversation or something that you have been holding in that really needs to come out, something that maybe you didn't get to say to somebody that you were mad at, or you wanted to have this conversation, maybe something that has been festering within you. Sometimes we just literally need to get it out on paper, right? And if we can get it out, and we don't want to hold that space for that energy, sometimes you can just rip it up or burn it. That's what I do when I really have to release something. I'll get it all out of me, write it out, whatever it is. I'll give all my anger and frustration to that paper, and then I'll take it and burn it up, because you want to send that energy back out so it can be transformed and transmuted into a better energy. And you don't want to allow that energy to stay within you, because if it stays within you, it's going to fester and it's going to take you to places within that you probably don't want to go. So we have to release so that we don't suppress. Okay. The next point here, I says, write out your goals as expressions to God, right, of your desires, and be confident that God will make all things, right? God will use the entire universe to make all things work out to fulfill your request, right? We have to stand in when we have a level of faith, right? We have to operate at a level of faith that says, I cannot lose. Um, I was thinking of something the other day, and I was talking to my friend, and she was like, I'm trying to do it. Okay. And so after that meeting with my friend, I was thinking about like just what we had said, and God spoke to me because I had said something else, and I was kind of thinking out loud, and I said, I know I'm trying. And God spoke to me in that moment, and He said, Jamila, you're not trying, you're doing. Because trying implies that there's a possibility you will fail, and that was so powerful. I'm gonna put that in something, in some kind of message I send out. But we got to stop saying we are trying, and we have to simply do. Because when we stand on a level of faith that says we cannot fail, trying is not an option, right? We are doing, because trying implies that that we have the ability to fail. But when we operate with a level of faith that God is always on my side, and God is going to use the entire universe to make sure this thing works out in my favor. That's a different level of faith that we can say, I'm not trying, I am doing. And I know that in my doing, my goals and my all the things I want to manifest will come to fruition, right? Because I know that I know that I am doing following my vision. I know that I am doing what God has instructed me to do. I know I am doing what I feel in my spirit to do, right? What we feel led to do comes from a place of the God in us speaking to us saying, this is what I have called you to do, right? And so even when we show up and it feels uncomfortable and it feels like it's not working, because we were planted there intentionally and on purpose, it is always working out, even if what we see does not relate or does not translate to things working out, right? God will use the entire universe to make sure things work out in our favor. And when we can stand in that level of faith, we operate differently. Okay, so let's get back to our text. That was my first point. Y'all listen, I know we in here with this good teaching. What I need y'all to do is share this with someone that you think would benefit from this. Listen, because in these days of economic turmoil and all kind of things going on, if we can simply use our words to shift, change, and transform our lives, that is a powerful thing that I don't care how much money you have, there is always a way for us to expand more. So share this out, tap the screen so that the algorithm can send this out to those who need to see and really get into this lesson here. Okay, y'all. So let's go on. All right. Our next section is called Write to Their Angel. And I don't think I said this, my little disclaimer. So some of this, I told y'all this was written in the 1960s. Some of this language is a little bit older. Some of these theories are a little bit older, but that's not to say they don't still work. When I read this specific section, I took it a little differently. So, take from these teachings what you will, okay? Because everybody's going to get something different out of them. And at the end of the day, it's still some amazing information. Okay. It says, write to their angel. If you seek understanding regarding financial matters, it is good to secretly write out notes to those involved. Seal those notes and place them in your Bible for the time being. The mystics used to teach that everyone has an angel or higher self. I know y'all hear that higher self, right? That's what all the manifestation gurus and everybody say, we have a higher self, right? But our higher self is connected to our higher power, our creator, right? It's still a part of us. Anyway, it says, and that when we cannot reach that angel in the usual ways, we should secretly write to it. In fact, the mystics even went so far as to describe 7 types of people with whom it is easier to deal satisfactorily by writing their angel than by trying to reason with them in the usual ways. When I thought about that, I thought about like different signs, right? Because different people that have different characteristics, you may have to deal with different ways, right? It says, perhaps you are thinking, I am sure that is fine mysticism, but how practical is this angel writing method? It says, well, you should realize that anyone you are having difficulty with, you have not been able to reach in the usual ways. So what have you to lose by secretly trying to reach them through their higher self or their angel? A businessman was having difficulty closing a business matter, which had long been pending. Everyone involved was quite congenial and wished to conclude this matter, except the man who kept changing his mind and seemed quite unsure about everything. It says this man kept things unsettled. In desperation, the businessman decided to try the angel writing method. Y'all, sometimes we get so desperate or so desperate that we would try anything, right? So he like, fine, what can I lose, right? It said it seemed that the man giving the trouble was timid, apprehensive, and always fearful about something. The businessman secretly wrote out just the opposite. Listen, y'all, it says, to the angel of, let us call him John Brown, I bless you and give thanks that you are bringing to a perfect conclusion this business matter, and that all concerned are satisfied and blessed by it. It says the businessman wrote out this statement 15 times because he had learned that the ancients believed in using the number 15 to break up and dissolve hard conditions. Within a few days, this businessman telephoned me long distance to report that the person causing the difficulty had visited his office and had said, come down to my office tomorrow morning and the papers will be ready for signature. This situation has been delayed too long and I am anxious to conclude it. And the transaction was quickly completed. Listen, this man wrote to his angel, right? The higher self of this other person. Let me get into my point right here. It says sometimes we have to deal with people in the spirit. Y'all, sometimes dealing with folks, especially folks who got their mindset on something, folks who don't know how to make up their mind, folks who are just altogether difficult to deal with, right? These are business people who are trying to come to a business conclusion, right? That's going to work for everybody involved. And dealing with this man in a conversation in a business setting was not working. So this man was like, listen, what do I have to lose by writing out to this man's angel, right? So sometimes we have to deal with people in the spirit. In the book, they said, write to the angel. Sometimes you just got to write a letter to God. Lord, this situation is difficult. Lord, this situation is out of my hands. Lord, I don't know how to deal with this person. Lord, I don't know what's going on. And then speak to that individual. They said that the man that was causing this trouble, it said he was timid, apprehensive, and always fearful about something. But when the man spoke to him, he spoke the opposite. He said, I bless you and give thanks. Hold on. To the angel, I bless you and give you thanks to bring to a perfect conclusion this business matter. Like, I'm not going to call you timid. I'm not going to call you apprehensive. I'm going to say that you have everything that you need within you to bring this to a conclusion that is going to work out for everyone involved, right? Sometimes we got to deal with people in the spirit and speak to them at a higher level because some people, what did I write? Where's my next point? Um, when you give people grace, here we go. When you give people grace and understanding, right, that they're only operating in the best way that they currently know how, right? Some of us are only operating in the best way we know how based on our life experiences, based on what we've been taught, based on what we've been exposed to, all of this. So some people, even though they may be difficult, that may be the only way they know how to operate. So we have to deal with them at a higher level. And sometimes that higher level is simply giving it to the spirit, right? It says, you can speak to God on their behalf to request the best possible outcome for the situation. And we don't always, that doesn't always come to us, right? That solution, because it's like, I'm trying to talk to you, right? And we've been taught that communication is key. But sometimes when you know how to communicate and the other person doesn't, it's like talking to a brick wall. So some people in some situations we have to deal with in the spirit. And at the beginning of the section, it says some things you have to write out and place in your Bible for the time being, because it's like I'm gonna write this thing out and then I'm gonna give it to God, because I know that I've tried. I know that I've tried to communicate. I know that I've tried to come to a mutual solution. I know that I've tried all things, and this thing is getting out of hand. So I can't deal with this the way I've been taught, or that they say we should deal with this. The conversation is just not jiving, right? So I'm going to deal with this in the spirit. What do they say? Sometimes you got to war in the spirit realm, okay? And so that's all they saying. And that's what I meant when I said I saw it a little bit differently, because they're saying to talk to the angels, right? And or their higher self. And all I heard was deal with it in the realm of the spirit, okay? All right, let's continue. Okay, where are we? It This is our last section for the day, and we got 3 sections that are going to wrap up our chapter 4 on tomorrow. Okay, it says note writing gets the bills paid, y'all, and I need y'all to listen to this. And after we dig into this section, I'm going to share with y'all this method that if you've been on here, I think I mentioned a couple times that I've taken some classes with Miss Iyanla Van Zant. Amazing, life-changing classes. Okay, so I want to share with y'all this method that she taught us in this class. And the person that introduced me to Miss Catherine Ponder and her books was Miss Iyanla Van Zant. And so I'm gonna share this method with y'all, because listen, I'm telling y'all, this stuff works. When I was really thinking and praying and fasting about, God, what do I want? What should I do for my community moving into 2024? Because 2024 is the year for a shift, is a year for elevation, right? And so I was sitting right here, and y'all can't see, but there is a bookshelf right here that is full of other books that I've read, that I've collected, that I have and haven't even read, because whatever, life happens, business happens, et cetera, et cetera. But I was sitting right here and kind of looking over at my bookshelf, and this book, like, it literally, I don't want to say it started glowing, but it stood out so powerfully to me. God was like, this is what I want you to tackle with my people. And so I want to share with y'all this method, because even though the things in this book, we just said, this sounds so simple, and the simplicity of it makes it sound far-fetched, these things work. Okay, so anyway, let's get into this last section. What time is it? We only been on here about 30 minutes, so y'all, I'm doing good today. Okay, it says note writing gets the bills paid. All right, let me take a sip of water first, y'all. You love her? Yes. Listen, Mama Iyanla, that's what we called her in class. Listen, I love that woman. I've listen, seen every show that she's even ever created, all the way back to, I forgot what the name of the house was. Whatever house she ran when was it Tamar Braxton? One of the Braxtons was on her show. It had to be like 20, 21 years ago. I don't know. But I started watching her way back when, and I seen her on Oprah. And listen, I follow her. I got her what is it? Her apps. She got a few apps out there anyway. I love that woman. I think she is a blessing to this world. Okay. So anyway, y'all, it says note writing gets the bills paid. Another note writing technique that is particularly helpful in getting the bills paid is this. When those bills begin to arrive in the mail, instead of silently resenting them, write on the envelopes. Listen, y'all can write this down. Um, every day I give y'all something to write down, and I'm sorry I didn't prepare y'all before, but I will definitely. If you missed yesterday, there is something in my story that we read. The affirmation that we read yesterday is in my story. I posted it late. Okay, I was supposed to post it right after the live. I was having some trouble clipping it and downloading it, and then time got away from me. But it's definitely out there now. I think I posted it around 8 o'clock last night. But when we get off of here, I am going to post this little snippet. Is not even 20 words, but it is powerful, right? Because a lot of us do get those bills, and it's like, damn, another bill, right? Our mind goes there. Damn, another bill. All these bills I got to pay. But we got to shift our mindset with that, right? because we have to understand that our flow of abundance is unlimited. Anyway, I ain't even about to go there with y'all. I got this on my paper, but our flow of abundance is unlimited. And so a $200 bill is nothing compared to the unlimited abundance that is available to us. Y'all, anyway, let's go. It says, I give thanks for your immediate and complete payment. You are immediately and completely paid through the rich avenues of divine substance. Let me read that again. I give thanks for your immediate and complete payment. You are immediately and completely paid through the rich avenues of divine substance. I want to stop right there and then continue. It did not say you are immediately and completely paid by my paycheck. Did you catch that? It did not say you are immediately and divinely paid by, my weekly, monthly, bi-weekly income. It said by rich avenues of divine substance. Because, yes, thank you. Yes. You need me to read it again? I'll read it again for you. If you want to go ahead and put it in the comments. It says, I give thanks for your immediate and complete payment. I give thanks for your immediate and complete payment. You are immediately and completely paid through the rich avenue of divine substance. You are immediately and completely paid through the rich avenues of divine substance. Now, I hope you got that. I'm sorry. I'm so thankful. Go ahead and type that in the comments. Listen, y'all. It did not say, thank you so much. It did not say where this money is going to come from. Because a lot of us get hung up on where am I going to get this money to pay these bills? A lot of us have creditors and all of this other stuff, right, that's coming after us. And we get so overwhelmed that we get ourselves in a tizzy and we never pay those things, right? Because we're like, I got rent to pay, I got mortgage to pay, I got car note to pay, I got insurance, I got all of these other bills that I have to pay monthly and weekly or whatever. How am I going to pay these old bills, right? And it did not say where the money was going to come from. It said through rich avenues of divine substance. When we are intentional, right, about our giving our responsibilities back to God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call your creator, when we are intentional about giving those responsibilities back to the one that is responsible for us, listen, that is a game changer. Okay? We have to understand that God will supply all our needs. Ain't that what the scriptures say? According to his riches and his glory. So why are we worrying about our little paycheck to take care of everything that we need to take care of? The problem is that we get laser focused on this is the only amount of money I'm ever going to have, and I got to hold on to it, and I got to pay this bill, and I got to pay that bill. And, we stress about our money, and we don't give ourselves the grace to say, listen, God, you're responsible for me, and you said you're going to supply all my needs, and I need all these bills paid, right? And so when those bills come in, instead of being thankful that we know, instead of being thankful and understanding and sitting in a place of knowing that, listen, when I got this service, when I did this thing, it was something I needed. God knew I needed it, right? And so because God knew I needed it, because I needed it, because it was a service that somebody gave me, and I need to operate in this, we talked about that. I need to operate in this cycle of giving and receiving, right? They gave me a service, I received it, and now I have to give them their payment for this service. When we can operate like that and say, Lord, I am thankful that they gave me this service, and now I need you to come in and help me to be able to pay for this service because I can't do it by myself, and because I know that you will supply all my needs according to your riches and your glory. when we can stand in that, our bills are no longer something that we have to resent. Our bills are no longer something we have to stress about. At the beginning, y'all, if y'all missed any part of this, y'all need to go back to the beginning. All of these replays, not all, I lied. The replays up to number 7. And 7 had 2 parts, y'all, because we got kicked off of here. All of the replays up to 7.2 are available on my YT channel. I'm going to say YT because, I don't want them to give me no whatever. They're all available, and that is linked in my profile. Because listen, we already talked about the bill part. We already talked about getting ahead of when things come up that we aren't prepared for, right? We talked about We talked about the couple that had these bills, and I don't want to go back too far. I'm sure I probably highlighted it somewhere. But we talked about the couple who needed money, right? Instead of, oh, I know what, it's in my notes. Bam, y'all listen. I turned right to it. God was like, I need you to let them hear this. We had 4 scriptures that we declared, right? That from this chapter. I think it was it was day 3. So it's probably chapter 1, day 3, whatever. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, right? That was one of them. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The next one, and this is where I was talking about the couple. They had these bills that they needed to pay, and they had no idea where this money was going to come from, right? And they began to declare, our sufficiency is from God. Our sufficiency is from God. Because what we need to sustain ourselves, what did I just say? We need to start going back to the person. We are responsible for these bills, but there is a higher power that has claimed responsibility for us. So we got to be like, listen, God, I don't know what I'm going to do right here, but I know I want to take hold, and I want to take hold of, we're going to say that, of these finances right here. I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to operate from a place of lack that I don't have enough, right? I operate from a place of abundance because I know that you supply all my needs, right? So we have to operate from a place of knowing that my sufficiency, everything I need to sustain myself, is going to come from God. And we have to stop. This is what I talked about, y'all. We have to stop focusing on where it's going to come from. We do not know, and we cannot continue to, what's the word I'm looking for? We cannot continue to speak over our lives that our source of income only comes from one place, right? Oh, I don't get paid till next Friday, so I'm broke till next Friday. No, no, no. We don't speak like that. We don't operate in that mentality. We operate in knowing that God can use anyone or anything at any time to bless me. When you operate like that, anybody can send you a cash app. You can get off of this live right now and somebody can cash app you out of nowhere. We read stories in here going back to this time, to this day 3, whatever, where people were literally, the woman got rid of her clothes, because I think that was a different day, y'all. I'm jumping around. But the woman got rid of her clothes with the knowing and understanding that she wanted new clothes. And what happened? God put her on other people's minds to send her money, to send her gifts of clothing just to bless her. God will put you on somebody else's mind to give you what you need or desire, because it's not always just about our needs. Because God said, I will take care of all your needs, right? And He said, I will give you all the desires of your heart. We got to start operating like these things that we say, these scriptures that we regurgitate, aren't just things that sound good, and that they're actually things that we stand on and we believe. When they say what I'm standing on business, stand on business and knowing who your support is, because God will use anything, anyone at any time to bless you. And when you believe that, you operate differently. When you believe that, things don't get you riled up, you know, in ways that they might have used to. When you believe that, you don't stress about certain things. Because why should I worry when I know where my help comes from? Why should I worry? Right. Stand on His goodness. Amen. Why should I be worried sitting around because worry ain't doing nothing but festering something bad within me, right? Worry causes heart problems, high blood pressure, all of this stuff. Oh, I don't know where my book is, but oh, I think it's downstairs. I'm reading this book. Well, I finished it. I was reading this book. It's called You Can Heal Yourself. And I forgot the author of it, but she talked about basically all of our issues internally comes from either a mental issue that we're dealing with. It comes from worry, it comes from heartache, it comes from stress, right? There's a whole list in the back of the book of illnesses, hypertension, diabetes, heart problems, stomach problems, and every single one, right, dis-ease, every single one is assigned a mental or spiritual problem, right? In the body, you have the amen. Listen, that is a powerful book. And so, anyway, y'all, I didn't want to digress so much because I said I was doing good. We 45 minutes in, we still doing good on time. But listen, we have to operate differently. Um, how do I want to say this? It kind of disrupts my spirit a little bit that we as believers are okay being broke. And we as believers are okay saying, oh, God is going to sustain what I have. No, because the Bible clearly says that God gave us life to live more abundantly. He gave us an entire world to live, to explore, to do things. So if I believe in this big God, right? Why don't I have money to travel and see this beautiful world that he's created, right? Why don't I have money to go do the things that I desire to do? Because God gave me certain desires. He said that, He allowed me to want certain things. So why am I limited? And the reality is the only limitation that we place that is real is the limitation that we placed on ourselves. God didn't say we had to live in lack. And we even talked about one day, I forget what day it was. I can go back in my notes, but we talked about. I really feel like it was the somewhere in the first chapter. We talked about that we've been taught wrong in believing that Jesus was broke and believing that Jesus was poor because he was not. Jesus was rich. Jesus turned water into wine, right? He created something that wasn't there and made an abundance of it, right? He fed thousands of people with what three fish and five loaves of bread or something like that. Everywhere he went, everywhere he traveled, I remember somebody on the live said he was always traveling and he had to have money to travel. And everywhere he traveled, he had a place to stay. Everywhere he traveled, there was someone that took care of him. We've been taught that Jesus was poor, and so being poor is a virtue, and that is not correct. And when we think about it, we have to go back to a point in time when slave masters and people within that time frame used the Bible to keep us in check, right? When they used that tool that we thought was sacred to keep us in a place of being obedient to what they were trying to get us to do, right? And so when we can look at it from a different a lens and read the scriptures for ourselves and not just go off of what somebody else is telling us about it, right? We can see that Jesus wasn't broke. We can see that God does not desire for us to be poor, right? Because the scripture itself says, I gave you life to live more abundantly, right? So anyway, y'all, I'm digressing. Hold on. Let's get back on track here. But definitely, if y'all miss any part of this series, we are on day 13 today. Day 1 through 7.2 are live on my YT channel. I am my goal. Yeah, I told you I was gonna do it over the weekend or sometime last week. But last week I was a little bit under the weather and I really did nothing last week. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I didn't even get on here last week. And I apologize to y'all yesterday for that. But my goal is to by the end of the week have everything up through this week posted. We're not doing the weekends. We talked about that. We're doing Monday through Friday. So at the very least, I should have everything posted. Today is Tuesday, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we'll be on day 16 by Friday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, we'll be on day 16 by Friday. So by at least Sunday night, we should have everything posted through day 16 on the YT. Okay. Because y'all, this is a powerful book. And look, we right here, okay, this is all that we've gotten through so far. And we got this much to go. But the tools and techniques in here can literally help you shift and change your life in the simplest way. All right, so let's keep going. We just talked about that little snippet of I give thanks, right? It says, when the bills have already piled up, it is also good to make a list of those owed and the amount owing. And beside or beneath each one, write out this same statement concerning their immediate payment, right? So as your bills come in, it's the top of the year. I can't even say the beginning because we're going into February, but we're still at the top of the year. It is a good idea. Hold on. I'm going to get into this. Hold on. We're going to pause right there because I told y'all I was going to give this method that Miss Mama Iyanla gave me. So hold on. Pause right there. It says a businessman once brought a file folder full of bills and said, how can I possibly use the power of prosperous thinking to get these bills paid? Some of them are several months old. We sat for an hour or so making a list of the amounts owed and to whom, listing first those owed the longest and those which were the most urgent. We then wrote out the above statement about their immediate payment. Since it seemed humanly possible to pay all these bills, since it seemed humanly impossible to pay all these bills immediately, we then made a second list showing the ones that should be absolutely paid within the next week, along with the statement, I give thanks that you are immediately and completely paid by date. Okay? It says, and listed the date a week hence. It says, once a week, this businessman came with his file folder of bills and we watched them get paid step by step. It took about 2 months to completely bring his financial affairs up to date. When he did, it was agreed that he would use this same technique at the first of each month to get current bills paid on time. This method seemed to help him gain control of his thinking about his financial affairs. Once he gained mental dominion, he was able to meet his financial obligations on time. Let me read that last line again. Once he gained mental dominion, he was able to meet his financial obligations on time. Y'all, some of us just need to get dominion over our mind, right? Because some of our mind is controlling everything about our life instead of us having control of our mental space so that we can confidently and consciously control the things around us. So look, I'm going to get into my points here. It says, don't resent your bills. Give gratitude for the companies that allowed you to use their services and be grateful for the money to pay them in return for that exchange of services. We talked a couple days ago about, I think it was the week before last, because last week we were off. We talked about getting into the flow of giving and receiving, right? That everything is a flow and exchange of giving and receiving. And so we cannot resent the services that we were given, right? Because whenever we receive those services, if it's medical bills, if it is, college tuition, whatever it is, at the time we utilize the service, we needed it. So we have to then get into alignment with saying, okay, I am grateful that I was able to use this service. And this bill, is just me giving a payment exchange in return for the service that was provided to me. And even though I may not know how this bill is going to get paid or where this money is going to come from, what am I going to do? I am going to give this responsibility back to the one that is responsible for me. And I'm going to say, God, I am thankful that I was able to use this service. And even though I have not been able to pay this, I know that you will make a great way, right? I know that you will make a great way. What does it say? I know that you will make a great way for me to blah, blah, blah. I know that you will make a rich avenue of divine substance for me to have the ability to pay for this exchange of services, right? So we cannot resent our bills. It says, take mental control of your finances. Know what you owe, then allow God and the universe to support you to get them paid. Okay. So before we go into the question of the day, um, in our class with Mama Iyanla, basically she had us do just that. She had us one day collect all of our bills, right? Everything that we could find that was past due, current, whatever. And then she had us with that stack of bills, we prayed over it, we declared things over it, and I believe part of our declaration was just that, if I'm not mistaken, we declared, I give thanks for the immediate and complete payment. And we did some other things because there was a lot of spiritual principles and practices that she had for us to do this with. But she basically had us collect all of our bills. We prayed over them. We declared the affirmation over them. And then she had us write out each person, each amount that we owed, the person or debtor that we owed it to, and write that affirmation under each one. And she had us create to give it a date, right? That these things will be paid by a specific date. Okay. And just as they did in here, some of the things that may be needed to be paid immediately, right? Because some things are more urgent than others, right? So you start with the most urgent and go to the things that can be delayed a while, right? And so in going through this process, y'all, I kid you not, one day about a month later after we did this, I received a letter in the mail that said that one of my debts had been completely forgiven. It had been completely forgiven. Now that was just one. There were some things that I paid immediately. There were some things that I said, Jamila, this is only a $60 bill. Why the heck did you not pay this? Right? There's some things that I discovered, right? Because sometimes you just kind of pile the mail up and forget about it, y'all. And I can't even lie. I ain't perfect. I am definitely guilty of that. But going through this process with Mama Iyanla really changed my perspective around my bills, because when we speak things like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough to pay these bills, or there's so much bills and not enough money, we are just creating an environment for more of that mentality to manifest, right? So we have got to get into a mind frame and a mindset and ground it in the understanding that if we serve a God who is the creator of all things, who has who has all resources, right? Who can do anything, even the impossible, right? It says all things are possible through God, right? If we serve this big God, why am I letting this $200 bill stress me out? Why can I not pay this $200 bill? Because maybe it cannot come from whatever source of income. Maybe at the moment, I might be living paycheck to paycheck, right? But as I open up my mind and as I open up my heart to receive from God in a way that maybe I've never received before, you never know the blessings that God wants to give you. You never know the people that God will use to bless you, right? Somebody can cash app you. Somebody can take care of your bill, right? I think during COVID, we had people randomly paying off other people's student loans. Like we had people doing things for other people. I just told y'all, sometimes God will put you on somebody else's mind. So we have to open ourselves to the abundance that God has. We have to open ourselves to knowing that, listen, and this is how I say it to myself, y'all, because that's just me. I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a spoiled brat. Listen, my daddy loves to bless me, and I'm not talking about my physical, father. I'm talking about my spiritual father. Listen, Lord, I need you to help me with this, okay? I'm gonna give this to you because I don't know how it's gonna get paid, but I know that listen. I'm a royal being. I am your royal entity. You have created me a queen on this earth, and Since when do queens live in lack? Since when do queens not have what they need to survive? Since when are queens not out here thriving and living a life of abundance? If that's who I am, if I believe that what the Bible says about me is true, if I believe in what God telling me that that is truth, that that is the truth about who I am, why am I okay with saying that I'm broke or I can't afford something? No, I might not be, it might not be in my budget today, but listen, baby, if I desire it, God says I'm gonna make a way for it. So anyway, y'all, question of the day: how can you use this note writing technique to shift your mind and change your life? We talked about writing things out to resolve issues. We talked about writing things out to deal with or handle difficult situations or people. How can you implement this simple practice of this writing technique? We talked about writing out gratitude. We talked about, well, she called it thank you notes to God, right? We talked about these different ways of writing lists, writing to manifest lists or to accomplish lists instead of these are things that I have to do. Because again, if we, I feel like if you just stand on that statement, that can go to so many different areas of your life. God can use anyone or any, God can use anyone or anything at any time to bless me. God can use anyone or anything at any time to bless me. When you stand on that, I say it in the spiritual realm, just waiting for it to physically catch up. Amen. Because sometimes it's gonna take a minute, right? Because we can declare things right now all day, today. And that doesn't mean that they're going to manifest tomorrow. But the thing that we got to stand on is God hears our prayers and he always answers and he sends the answer immediately, right? But sometimes it takes a while. His immediately doesn't match our immediately all the time, right? And sometimes he has to get different things, different people, or whatever in different places to get you what you need, right? I'm gonna tell y'all this. I'm gonna tell y'all this. I I told y'all my story on my page last year. Last year on my birthday, God told me I want you to tell your story because y'all 2019 was crazy for me. Before COVID, I was in my own kind of isolation because God told me to do something and it just did not go the way that I planned for it to do, right? That I planned for it to go. And in that space, hold on, where was I going with this story, y'all? I'll be losing my train of thought. Um, Pretty much, God told me, me and God, okay, I'm not gonna say it was all on God, but God told me to quit my job that I had been at for 12 years. When I left there, I was there for 12 years. I planned on starting this business, right? But then when I left, I tried to start this business from a place of uncertainty, from a place of doubt, from a place of, not understanding and knowing my own value, not really believing in this thing, right? And so, you know, everything flopped. Things didn't go how I wanted it to go. I ended up not having any money, being on welfare, all of these things, right? And God literally, like I literally had people that were in my circle and people outside of my circle that were willing to bless me. I never lost my home. We did end up losing two cars, whatever, but it wasn't like they were repossessed. They literally, one broke down, one got into an accident. Like y'all, my life went into chaos in 2019. But when I really began to stand on these principles and I said, God, listen, you told me to do this because I know even the last freaking day that I was working, if I would have said, y'all, I done changed my mind, they would have let me stay. So the last day I remember praying, God, is this for real? Like, am I really supposed to do this? And his answer was yes. And so I had to stand on the understanding and knowing that God had told me to do something. And even though I didn't know how it was going to work out, he was going to make sure that the universe got in alignment to get me where I needed to be. Okay. And so I'm back on track, y'all. And so, like I said, business flops, things spiral. I remember So I left that position in January. Left that position in January. By May, I had used all the money I had saved up. There was no money coming in. It was messed up, y'all. By September, I was on actual welfare and food stamps. It was crazy. And I remember telling God, "You told me to do this, and nothing worked out." And what God said back to me was, "I didn't tell you to do this. I told you to do something specifically, right? Yes, I told you to leave, but when you left, you were supposed to do something specifically that I told you to do that we agreed upon, but you were so doubtful of yourself, your abilities, and what I was telling you to do that you didn't do it. And so, in reality, you created this, right? But because I'm a good father, I'm going to make sure this all works together for your good, right?" And so, I remember saying, "God, well, I got to go back to work because somebody got to pay these bills, right?" And so, I struggled with that. And I was like, "But if I go back to work, that means I failed." And God was like, "Nope. That means that, you just had to, I put you on a different path." And, whatever. And so, y'all, I was trying to find jobs, right? And I had left, again, I told y'all, I had been there for 12 years. So after being there for 12 years, I was making $30 an hour. And I was applying for these jobs that were paying me $16 an hour. And I'm looking and I'm like, and they were even talking to me. I remember one man saying to me, "Are you sure you really want this position? Because I know, the level that you came from financially, and I can't pay you that." And I was like, "Well, listen, I understand, and I need to support my family." So I didn't get that job, but about a week or two later, I got another job, and they were paying me like $16.75 an hour. And I remember when they hired me, they said, "We're hiring you because we got this new account that we need an account manager for." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." Y'all, while I was there 3 days, I was there 3 days and they fired me. It was through a temp service. They didn't even fire me. On my way home, it was on a Thursday. On my way home on a Thursday, I started on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On my way home on a Thursday, the temp service called me and said, "I'm sorry. The company said they no longer need you because they just lost the account." Now, I want y'all to hear this. They hired me because they had just got this new account, right? They fired me 3 days later because the same account they hired me for, they lost. And so here's the message in that. I was trying to do something that God was like, "You're not supposed to be there." God said, "You're not supposed to be there, but you so gung ho on doing this your way." And I'm telling you, this is all going to work out, right? This is all going to work out. So God said, "You're not supposed to be there." So God disrupted their stuff, right? When I say God will use anything, anyone in the entire universe, now what it worked out bad for them, but God took me out of somewhere. He said, "You're trying to do something and you're trying to be somewhere where you're not supposed to be." So God made them lose their account. And I don't mean to say it like that, but that's how it happened, y'all. They got this account and hired me. Then, because I wasn't supposed to be there, they lost it. And they had to fire me because God said, "You're not supposed to be there. You're doing this in a way because you don't trust me." And the Tuesday that I got that job, on my way home, I got a phone call from a company that wanted to interview me. So I did a phone interview on my way home, lost that job on Thursday. The following Friday, the people that I talked to on Tuesday, the first day of that job, they hired me because that's where I was supposed to be. And they were paying me not the $30, but way more than the 16. So I said all that to say, when I say God will use anything and everything to bless you and to get you where you need to be, God will do just that because God knows where He's trying to take you. And so everything that I had to go through and experience in 2019 and 2020 got me to a space where I'm sitting in front of you as a coach of women who help women to shift their mind and shift their identity to become the version of themselves that they desire to become and have the things that they desire to have, because God had to strip me down to nothing, right? He had to allow me to mess up my own situation so that I ended up on welfare. I went from making $65,000 a year to being on welfare now. I tell y'all, I was only on welfare 3 months because I know how to bounce back, but still, I had to get to a place where the only thing I had was God. And then I allowed him to operate within me. I allowed him to shift me. I allowed him to change me. And then I began to believe in what he was speaking about me. Because God told me some things about me before 2019 that I could not fathom. Because I talk to y'all about that all the time. Who am I to do this? I had this whole who am I syndrome. God, I'm just little old me. Are you seriously? Is this something that you really want me to do? Is this really something that you have destined me to accomplish? And everything that I had to go through taught me that I didn't know what I was talking about, but God did. And so, in order for me to get to where I wanted to be in life, to do the things that I wanted to do, to have the things that I wanted to have, to accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish, and to use the gift that He has placed within me, I had to trust him. I had to take my mind off of my doubts, my fears, my insecurities, and I had to say, God, you know what? I don't know, but if you tell me this is what I'm supposed to do, I'ma do it. I get on here before I get on this live stream every day, y'all. I say a prayer, and I'm like, God, here we go. It's me and you. I don't know how I'm gonna, make this work. I don't know if these people really want to listen to me, but if this is what you're telling me to do, I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna allow you to speak through me, because this is an amazing book. But never would I think that I would be sitting up here teaching y'all about a book that was written, teaching y'all lessons from a book that was written in the 1960s by a woman, who was teaching these prosperity classes. Because in the 1960s, that made sense. But guess what? In 2024, it makes sense as well. When we are in turmoil financially, right? There's a financial crisis going on somewhere. There is a war going on somewhere. There are things that are going on somewhere. And in order for us not to get ourselves lost in the sauce and all of the crazy that's going on, we got to get back rooted into God's word. We got to get back rooted into the simple things, understanding that we have manifesting power within us that was God given to create and manifest the life that we want to see. Anyway, y'all, I'm talking a whole lot. I know that this live stream was good, y'all, because I'm still talking, and I told y'all my whole little story in the last 5 minutes. That it took me, I think there was 30 something TikToks that were 3 minutes long that I did. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff wrapped up in there, but I gave y'all that story in like 5 minutes that it took me 30 TikToks and 3 minutes each to do. Y'all, it was a time, and I did it. I think it took me like 3 hours to record. But anyway, y'all, listen, tomorrow we're gonna be back. We're gonna wrap up chapter 4. I believe we are still it's still talking about lists, and our sections are called Woe Unto Them That Write About Their Troubles. The next one is Gain Control of Your Past and Your Future. And the last one is This Method is All Powerful. Those are the last 3 sections that we're going to dig into tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we'll dive into chapter 5. Listen, y'all, we will be back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. ish Eastern Standard Time. And I see y'all then. Y'all have an amazing, wonderful, productive rest of y'all Tuesday, okay? Bye.